The views, opinions, and statements expressed in the following program reflect the views of the program contributors and do not necessarily reflect views of CAB Broadcasting LLC and its management or its sponsors.
All your views matter.
रेडियो जिंदगी 1170 AM पे वेलकम लिसनर्स, मैं हूं आपके साथ हीरा। शो लेके आए हैं द शाह पिराली लॉ शो, ब्रॉट टू यू बाय द शाह पिराली लॉ ग्रुप. Attorney Shah Pirali joins us from now till 11 AM. Hopefully we'll also have Attorney Sharif joining us in some time. Attorney Shah Pirali is the founder, president and managing attorney of the Shah Pirali Law Group, which is based out of Newark here in California. He is a member of the American Immigration Lawyers Association as well as the State Bar of California. He is a passionate advocate of human rights, civil rights, social action and social services, and he has a strong interest in and knowledge of the political legal system in the U.S. He formed his law group to work on the causes that he feels most ardently about. The law group focuses on immigration law with an emphasis on employment-based immigration, and he helps clients all over the U.S. Offices are in Newark, California, San Francisco, California, and in Washington, D.C. So you can make an appointment, listeners. If you or if somebody you know needs help with immigration, you know who to get in touch with. बी इट ईस्ट कोस्ट और वेस्ट कोस्ट, आप बात जरूर कर सकते हैं. ईस्ट कोस्ट में कोई है कि वेस्ट कोस्ट में है, शाह पिराली लॉ ग्रुप के ब्रांचेस सब जगह हैं, तो आप जरूर उनसे बात कीजिए. नंबर है 510-742-5887. ये है उनके ऑफिस का नंबर 510-742-5887. वेबसाइट है piralilaw.com. दैट्स PEERALLYLAW.com. सारी इन्फॉर्मेशन आपको उनके ऑफिस के बारे में, उनके नंबर्स के बारे में उनकी वेबसाइट पे मिल जाएगी. लेकिन अगर अभी आप उनसे बात करना चाहते हैं ड्यूरिंग द शो, देन ऑल्सो यू कैन कॉल एंड स्पीक टू देम. नंबर है 510-657-1170. ये नंबर आप याद रखिए, अब से लेकर 11 बजे तक के बीच में 510-657-1170. So without any further ado, Attorney Shah, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Hara. Thank you for the nice welcome, and thank you for the listeners for being faithful to our show. Just to let you know, I think we are reaching the 11th year of the show.
Wow! Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. And we're still going strong, and I'm very happy despite all the things that has happened and still happening. We know things is very tough right now. We are in the middle of a pandemic, and right now my heart goes to the people of Texas, what's going on there.
Yes.
To the good people of Texas, by the way. So, and then also it's not only Texas, it's other places, and I have a lot of my friends and some very close friends of mine who are really kind of suffering in that. So I really urge you to understand what's happening there is definitely climate change. The polar vortex have shifted. I cannot keep going into that, but and that's something really going to affect. It's affecting the world actually. It's going to keep affecting. A lot of places are going to be freezing, while other places are going to really heat up. So all this we need to start addressing, because this is all related to our lives, right? It's no more just like it's he or she, your country, my country. It's the world which is going to be affected. And before I start, of course, anything I'm going to say is my opinion. You should not act or refrain to act solely on the information provided. You should contact an attorney if you have any questions. So again, as you know, what's happening in Texas is very scary, because the kind of I'm seeing footages from Texas, and the kind of things I'm seeing is like it comes straight from that movie. I don't know if anybody watched this movie, The Day After Tomorrow.
Day After Tomorrow.
It was in 1996, yeah, and it's exactly that's what very close to that. The whole current system have shifted, and it's creating really like a small ice age there. So hopefully this is going to go down soon, and also we are seeing a lot of bad weather other places. But people have to understand now why I'm talking about this. For one, I'm very much I believe in the environment, in protecting the environment, but I also know this is going to affect what we call the migration of the world. There will be something which is called the climate change immigration kind of, and this is something that I don't know if I mentioned this before. I wrote an article about that a long time ago, almost 6-7 years ago, that this is going to happen, because it already kind of happened in some islands that were disappearing. They were trying to find other places they can live on, because they're going to be going under the pretty much they're going to go under the water. So the thing that is the most sad in that is a lot of people are going to die, and we are going to see many things which we are not used to. And of course that's going to affect immigration, because people are going to move around. And what will happen next? Hopefully there will be some kind of asylum or something like that will benefit people who are suffering from such situations. And now let us talk a little bit about other issues on immigration. Luckily only good news are coming from immigration. For one, we're seeing a lot of approvals, and I wanted to congratulate our team for a bunch of approvals coming this week from B1, B2 visas that we filed during the pandemic.
And on Facebook, I think last week sometime you had also posted on Facebook, right, between the last show and this show, that you had an EB1 approval and the client let you know.
Yeah, he just called early morning.
Oh wow!
He was calling urgently, and I thought something would happen. He said, "Oh, my case got approved."
Oh God! Okay, congratulations to you and your team.
Thank you. Actually, it was a DC team, mostly Sharif, and that was very nice, because he was trying to reach us, and it was early in the morning, so nobody was picking up. And then I saw the call, so I called him back, and then I realized that he got an approval, so I was very, very happy for him. And he's one of our nicest clients, and I'm more than happy to see him succeed now. He's moving forward with his life, no more stress, and because he got approved completely with the green card and everything, so it was not just a part approval or anything. So that's the good news on that. And also we saw some approvals on family petitions, a couple of marriage petitions, H1Bs, and I don't have all the details, but H4s also I think started coming. So things are moving. That's the good news. And I think the Biden memo or Biden executive orders have kind of put the immigration now, they're feeling better. They feel like they can work. They don't have to be pretty much feeling scared, because that's another thing, that under the Trump administration, many of them were feeling scared because they were directed to deny as many cases as possible. And that was really the bad part of it, because if they were approving cases and there were mistakes in there, they were getting basically slapped kind of. So now with Biden, it's the other way around, right? So they have to approve cases unless they have to deny it. And under Trump, it was they had to deny as much as possible unless they have to approve. So we have changed really the dynamic, which is something good now. We are seeing something amazingly good, and I'm hope that more will be coming, more cases will be approved. And also today I was talking to a client, and not today actually, it was yesterday. He was talking to me, and he was saying that can he travel and all this stuff. And I was thinking, wow, he's asking me those questions because back in the days when you were a few months ago when Trump was here, if you had a situation like that, not even a situation like that, no situation, I will advise people, hey, don't travel. It's not a good idea. Right now I'm advising people not to travel because of COVID, not because of the government. But before it was totally different, because you never know. You travel outside, you might never come back. But now things are a lot better, except of course there is a backlog and we have a pandemic, so that one nobody can control, and it's not the government's fault. So bottom line, you can still travel, but just make sure that you talk to an attorney before you do that, and you can call me at the office 510-742-5887. Do you have anything specific questions, Ira, that you wanted to ask?
Well, yesterday, earlier today or something, they were news, right, that Democrats and President Biden, they prepared to unveil the bill that would actually, the one that was about citizenship for undocumented immigrants also. The pathway as to how it's going to happen and the timeline. A lot of people are also unhappy about it, because they say, when I say they, I mean people who've been here for so long on visa with all the documents and everything. Their point is that we've been here struggling for so long, and these undocumented people, they're going to have it easier, so might as well tear our passports and throw it away. I mean, not really, but
it's not going to be that easy, first of all. And remember, those people came here and they struggled too. So, and many people who come here legally, they don't have to struggle as much as those people. At the same time, look from an economic point of view, there is a huge demand on manual labor, and most of those people are manual labor. And right now we have a big problem in the farms. When Trump took power, a lot of the farms got affected, and they couldn't really kind of even take care of their farms. So, and because of that, he's trying to encourage that. Plus, of course, he wants to get the Spanish community. Having said that, it's not going to be like that. Other people also are going to be people with the legal papers will also ultimately get their green card. It won't be that straightforward either for them or for the people who are upset.
I mean, not it's like they're going to give their green card like next month or something.
No. It's a long path.
Yes.
We're talking about almost 10 years to 12 years, same kind of time
like
people are waiting, and it will not apply to. And this kind of rule have passed before, right? In 1997, we have. And under Reagan, 1980s, we had amnesty. Under Bush, there was another one, Life Act, etc. So this is not new. This happens. Actually, didn't happen as early as we expected. We were hoping it would happen earlier. But the truth is, you can't. This is the thing. You cannot basically kind of take one group of immigrants and make them fight the other, because that's exactly what the conservatives want. The truth is, people are not getting it, but nobody's entitled to immigration, right? So you have to understand that immigration is a privilege, not a right.
True.
That's what the judge said, and that's the truth. So some people, they come and they get it within 6 months. I have clients who come straight on a green card.
Wow.
We do many cases like that, actually, like people from Romania, people from Nepal, people from Sri Lanka, everything. There's no waiting time, so you don't even have to file an H-1B for them. You can file the green card straight and make them come directly on the green card.
On a lighter note, when we hear all that, on a lighter note, sometimes a lot of us think we were born in the wrong country. We should have been born, in the same continent, maybe same subcontinent, maybe just across the border in Nepal, maybe.
Yeah, that's sometimes it's kind of sad because you hear that, but at the same time, people have to realize that most people come for India has one of the highest immigrants population now in the U.S. apart from Mexico. Even Mexico has slowed down, so we cannot be too much. My ancestors are from India, but I was born in Mauritius. Okay. So it's a same culture without being the same culture. So it's a different struggle, right? So, for example, if I try to get someone from Mauritius here, they won't even have that qualifications that an Indian engineer has, because India is prepared for that. So if you were born in another country, you might not have this kind of education, and you would not be able to come on the same level, because otherwise a lot of people will want to come, but they can't, because they don't have this caliber that what US is looking for, because the system of education is very different. India somehow has been able to build a system which is very much in alignment with what America needs, right? And China did the same, but even then China doesn't have that many like India does, and the population of China is bigger. So on that side, people have to be very grateful to be born in India, because the education system allowed them to ultimately come to the U.S. and we use that to actually get their green cards or their H-1Bs, and that's why you see a huge population of Indians coming for H-1Bs, because you guys have the top engineers of the world, right? I don't know now if it is still the stat, because there's a lot of competitions with other countries.
Still always, I think.
Yeah, because the thing is that it's in our culture, right? So the parents will tell you either you're a doctor or an engineer, right? Nobody really like lawyers, so they prefer to tell you that, and that's something that people don't realize sometimes, because there are blessings in everything. But especially I've seen this a lot from the South Indian part, because they put a lot of emphasis on education, right? So they invested a lot in that, and that's why you see many people coming from Chennai, from South India, etc. But North India has as many, but not as many as there, because they have invested in that. So most countries have not, because they have not seen any purpose in investing in engineering until computers came in the picture, etc., etc. So all the stuff when mixed together, they're good and bad, because had you lived, for example, in France, you might not even have that. You will probably not be an engineer majority, because you will probably go into arts and things like that, right? So this is a culture thing, and at the same time, yeah, it's got its good and its bad, unfortunately, but look at it from a good perspective. And I recommend people don't get upset at the people who are illegal, because many of them, when they come here, they are desperate. They lost pretty much everything. They have suffered. Some of them even died. I had clients who traveled to Mexico, who are also from India, but they went to Mexico, and unfortunately that lady, she got raped so many times before she entered, and all this stuff do happen to them, right? So when they come here, it becomes very hard on them. They're already traumatized. They have to go through so many things, but when they're just leaving them like that will not be right. Having said that, yeah, we have to control the borders. It's not right that everybody can just come in, because we will have bad people also coming in. But the truth is that many of the people coming, 99, I'm not going to put a percentage, because I don't want people to hold me to that, but most people are good people. And they can work, because look at it this way: if you don't have farmers working in the farm, you won't have food. Farmers are very, very important, and most of them are covered by people from Latin America. And then there is actually today, where, by the way, Biden signed another executive order increasing the H-2B, which are usually for farmers, a temporary visa, by 35,000. And it's still, there is a shortage, right? Those are very temporary visas. They go for, I think, up to 18 months. And then it allows them to come and take care of the fields, etc. And if we don't take care of the...
doesn't it say it's a non-agricultural visa for workers, non-agricultural workers?
I'm sorry. H-2A is agricultural. H-2B is manual worker.
Oh, that's
right. You're right.
Okay.
So there are two of them. There's H-2A and then H-2B. H-2A for agricultural, H-2B, and I think he increased both, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't handle them, and unfortunately, because those are very specialized kind of areas, and many lawyers, they focus only on that. So I didn't follow really closely, but I think they increased both of them. So don't quote me on that, but for sure one got increased in those two. So at the end of the day, these are manual labor, right? And there is a shortage of manual labor no matter what, because most people, even they come here, at the end of the day, they prefer to go into a job which is less difficult. I try to work on a farm in America. It's not easy. I can tell you right now, it's very, very difficult. Most people cannot really kind of cope with it. Even though I love planting, I love farming. This is kind of my hobby.
Yes.
But the truth is that it's not an easy job. I can tell you right now, especially the way they do it. I do it in a different way, so I don't have that much work. But if you do it industrial way, it's almost you end up dead by the age of 40, 45, and that's what happens to many of them. They just die, and then they just get sent back or just get buried, and nobody hears about them after that. And people don't know the reality. Many farmers die of heat stroke, and that's not only in the U.S., it's all around the world, and I think it's in India too. Many of them died lately by heat stroke, and now a lot of things happening because of the situation of the farmers in India. So it is a situation where we are very dependent on farmers. No matter what we do, we will have to basically kind of depend on them. And America wants to have food sufficiency because food is the main thing, right? If we don't have food, what do we do? So that's one of the reasons you're seeing a lot of emphasis on this. And plus now with climate change, it's going to get more and more difficult to even produce food. So and that's the reason pretty much why you're seeing such a move. But also the other reason is, of course, because they want to really kind of pretty much please the Latino community, because the Latino community came to really help Biden, and it is important for them to pretty much kind of show some kind of gratefulness, right? So they have to be grateful to them. But at the same time, a lot of Indians also supported Biden, so I think you're going to see some good things happening also on the side for immigrants. But it won't be that obvious like people are thinking, oh, they're just going to hand out green cards. No, they won't, because it doesn't make sense if they do that. They will still have to make you pass the test. You will still have to do the labor certification, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, like Sharif was saying last time, and hopefully he'll talk about that, we need to take advantage of the laws we have. A lot of people don't even know. For example, people don't know about the U visa, where you're victims of a crime. People don't know about the national interest waiver, where you don't have to depend on an employer to get a green card. A few people know about EB1, and even EB1, is something that is major, and people don't take advantage of it because, like we said last time, they feel, hey, I'm not good enough. No, you're good enough. You might be better than most people out there, but you just don't know because you're, like Sharif is saying, you're competing in a world which is really high jet, like the best of the best. So you feel like, oh, you're a little bit not good. But if we compare you to the standard that is out there, you are among the best. So why not take advantage of that? And the way we work in our office is, sometimes people get irritated because we put too much pressure on them. We want this, we want you to do this, we want you to do it this way, we want you to basically get this letter, get this and that. It is something that really kind of make people sometimes frustrated, but at the end of the day, they're happy when they get an approval, right? So, Sharif, I don't know if you got hold of Sharif so far.
I did not. I'm trying to get him.
Okay, so I'll continue talking until I get him on air. But
yes,
so
I'll let you know.
Today we're going to talk, of course, about EB1, and of course National Interest Waiver. But we'll also try to talk a little bit about something that most people really kind of omit sometimes, is the ability to get a green card with using the National Interest Waiver combined with your priority date, and also cross-country interchangeability. And that's another thing that people tend to ignore. If your spouse is born in another country, you might take advantage of that and get your green card faster. So all the stuff are good stuff, but people tend to ignore them because they are not aware of them. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is again the Shapira Law Show, and everything I'm telling you today is my opinion. You should not act or refrain to act solely on the information provided. You should contact an attorney if you have any questions, and hopefully we'll have Sharif talking a little bit about EB1. But in the meantime, H1B season is opening,
So I encourage you, if you are an employer or an employee who wants us to work on their cases, feel free to reach out to us. The system has not changed from last year, which means you go into a lottery. Then from that lottery, if things goes well for you, you get into the lottery, you will be able to file the H-1B in the next coming month. So take advantage of it, and there's still jobs out there, etc. And if you're a company, feel free to reach out, 510-742-5887. We have started working on the cases because we have to prepare them, etc., etc. Sharif, are you there?
He's not here with us yet. I've been trying to get in touch with him, but maybe you.
I thought you were here. No problem.
No, it's still me. I'd like to also remind all our listeners that if you have any questions to ask Attorney Shapirali, you can call us right now during the show. We have Attorney Shapirali on air with us for another half an hour. आप फोन कर सकते हैं on 510-657-1170. That's 510-657-1170. And अभी जैसे अटर्नी शापिराली ने बताया कि H-1B के डॉक्यूमेंट्स की प्रिपरेशन शुरू हो चुकी है. They go in next month. Is that right? March में you file in March. So you're already preparing all the documents and taking cases.
Yeah.
So listeners, if you have any questions, call us right now. Let's see who we have on the phone over here. Hello, you're on air with Attorney Shapirali.
Yes, I have a question for Attorney.
Sure, please go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Yeah,
could you? I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you turn off the radio in the background?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. So my question is that when I came to US on H-1B, my initial thought were that I would get green card in 5 years, and then I can bring my family here, the rest of the family, like my brother and my mother and those people. But it never happened, and still looks like I don't know how many years to go. So this is the common question maybe for everyone might be thinking about this. Is there any way that, like, for example, my brother's children are right now, they're younger, less than 10 years of age. So is there any way that we can still make it happen through indirect ways, like, for example, any possible ways that my family will be still here after 5-10 years, that everybody will be here, kind of?
Unfortunately, I don't want to tell you yes, because it's impossible to tell. It will all depend how things are going to unfold in the Congress, if they're going to reduce your time. Now, your brother himself, he might be eligible for his own H-1B if you get a job, etc., just like you came here, and then his children...
No, he's not into the high skill.
Oh, he's not into high skill. Yeah, there's nothing right now at this point, unfortunately, there, because if you're counting on you get a green card, let's say next year, you still have to wait 5 years before you become a citizen. And by that time, if you file for your brother, the waiting time is another 12 to 15 years. And by that time, unfortunately, the children, if they're 10 years old, they will age out. So the only options, unfortunately, is for your brother to find a way to come on his own. If he's not high skill, it's going to be very tough, because there's no way they're really going to make this faster. Even if they give you tomorrow your green card, like I said, you will have to wait another 5 years. So for your brother, it will be hard. For your parents, it's a different story. If the laws, as soon as you become a citizen, you can bring them here. So I don't know if the caller is still there.
The caller is still
here? I'm here, and I'm listening to you.
Okay.
And my next
also have we also have Attorney Sharif with us now.
Okay, great. Sharif, give me 1 minute and then we'll talk. Go ahead, sir. I'm listening to you.
Yeah, okay. So, like you said, brother is not possible. So what about the children? Is there any way that I can adopt them or something like that and make it happen?
Adoption is a lot of times people ask me that question, but it gets very difficult for the adoption, because adoption requires 2 years of custody with you. And this is where it gets difficult, because they have to cut a relationship with the original parents, right? For one, and also it is the second point is when you adopt from someone who is your relative, like your brother, give me a call at the office. We can talk in a little bit more details, because just like that, there might be avenues that we don't know about, or we cannot ask private questions on air. So give me a call. We can see if there's any potential for the children or something. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much for calling in and asking. Listeners, if you also have any questions, you can call the studio number right now, 510-657-1170, 510-657-1170, or get in touch with Attorney Shapir Ali and his team on 510-742-5887. Welcome, Attorney Sharif. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. How's it going?
Going well. Attorney Shah?
Doing well. Yeah, we're doing good. Very good. Assalamu alaikum, Sharif. I wish you, hopefully, things are getting better. Is it cold there?
You know, it's not that bad. Everybody's telling me it's cold, and I'm outside. I said, it's not that cold. I don't know what everybody's complaining about. Because
okay. Well, Texas is freezing
it's the quiet before the storm right now. So maybe tomorrow, ask me again tomorrow, things might change.
Okay, inshallah, you guys are okay, because Texas is going to really bad right now. And I'm seeing videos and footage. I had someone who showed me an aquarium, and all the fish frozen there.
I think really that's tough, in Texas?
Yeah, Texas. Texas is really bad.
I think in Texas they're getting hit really bad, and we've had some clients who had no access to computers and internet and what have you. So, we're definitely praying for those people there.
Yeah, the few images that are coming, I don't know how they're doing it, but few of them are coming, and it's really, really bad. So let's pray for Texas, hopefully, and I hope Ted Cruz now understands what happens in California before he starts speaking. So that's another thing. So tell us, Sharif, what's good? Congratulations, by the way, for winning that case, and the green card came for a client. He called me very early in the morning, and we were talking about that, and he was very, very happy about that. So tell us a little bit what's happening on the EB1 front.
Yeah, so I think that, we are, continuing. And right now is the critical time that we're trying to see the changes with the new administration in terms of the adjudication process, because we're not asking for anything special. We're just asking them to follow their own adjudication manual and laws. If we're able to have a government that just implements the USCIS policy manual in a fair manner, then my view is there are many, many, probably hundreds of thousands of people that will qualify under the criteria. Take, for example, a person who is working in the semiconductor space. So that individual is definitely very critical to his or her organization, and is making outcomes for the company that would really benefit them. So when we think about the different criteria that exist for someone who is a professional, we don't need to look at it like we do for someone who is an academic or researcher. So a professional person might be able to qualify under, for example, I'll just give you a few criteria: that they perform in a critical or leading role for an organization that has a distinguished reputation. So the way the adjudication manual and the USCIS defines performing in a critical role is that the outcome of the individual's work is significant to the organization. So this is different than the other criteria, which is original contribution of major significance to the field of endeavor. When we're thinking about critical role, we're not thinking about the impact to the field as a whole. We're just thinking about the impact to the employer. So that individual who may be working in a semiconductor space, or in a maybe someone who is in product development and technology company, the work that they're doing can be critical to the organization itself. Okay, so that's one very, very important way that we demonstrate that this person is going to meet the requirements. The other way that we can show this person eligible to meet the EB1A requirement is that they command a high salary in relation to their peers in the field. So the way that we are going to analyze this is, number one, what is their salary, right? Can we document the salary? Take, for example, an individual, they might be a very high earner, like $250,000 salary, okay? They will be able to document that with a W-2. That is a official document that is used by the IRS to confirm what your annual earnings are. There may be other ways to document earnings. It could be a letter from their HR, specifying their salary, maybe plus benefits, 401k, RSU, so that we know exactly what they're commanding in terms of salary. So once we're able to document their income, then we want to look at what are we comparing it against. So I think that a lot of times the approach is to simply take the Bureau of Labor Statistics data or the O.net data and just, kind of throw it up there and see what the government thinks. I actually think that what you need to do if you want to be successful is you also need to compare it against private surveys. So take, for example, Glassdoor or, even LinkedIn, or because what is the statute stating? It's stating, or it's asking you, do you command a high salary in relation to your peers? So, in relation to your peers, I think allows us to say, like, for example, if someone is working we're talking about a semiconductor example. So someone, say, is working in one of the, big semiconductor companies, and they have job postings for that company. So those job postings may have the salary range for the position. So if your earnings are exceeding that salary range, then we can demonstrate that you're commanding a high salary in relation to your peers. So that is why this is a relative comparison. And if someone is in a specific geographic area, right, or especially if you're outside of California, then that may be a huge advantage as well. I mean, if you're making over, let's say, 200 plus and you're in Texas or, somewhere like that, or the Midwest, then certainly you're going to be in a huge advantage over others. Another interesting one with salary that I've experienced is people who work in, even if they're like consultants, but they are working on government projects, like state agency projects, then we can compare their salary with the salary of an individual working in a state agency. And those are usually public figures, by the way, because, it's part of the public trust, and they have transparency with respect to what certain position levels earn in the, government agencies. So if you are performing on behalf of a state agency, even as a consultant, then you can demonstrate that you're performing in a critical role. And then when we're thinking about your salary in comparison to your peers, then we can compare you against certain individuals who, are working directly for the government and are probably maybe making less salary, usually because, they have great retirement benefits or whatever. But, again, for our purposes, what we need to do is compare salary to salary. So in that space, someone who is a consultant working for a private organization will likely earn a higher salary. In fact, I've even had situations and approved cases where we've used the billing information from, in terms of what is the cost to the agency receiving the service. So if they're being billed, say, at $100 per hour for the consultant services, then that would be something that would help us out. So those are just kind of ways to think about two criteria that would apply to someone who's in a professional space. And then, we can look at others as well. But, I think ultimately what we are seeing in terms of successful cases is that you do not necessarily need, or it's not even advantageous necessarily for you to be like a postdoc researcher working in a lab or something. Because in my view, if you are a researcher with a PhD, your measuring stick is going to be whether you're an outstanding researcher or professor, and that is a separate category from EB1A. That's EB1B. But if we're talking about EB1A, what we're looking for is, do you perform in a critical or leading role for an organization that has a distinguished reputation? Do you command a high salary? And I would argue probably equally or more importantly, do you have original business-related contributions of major significance? And a business-related contribution can be technological. It can be, have you created a process? Have you created a product? Have you created, maybe a new... I think one way that right now we're getting a lot of cases approved are for those who have been, let's say you created a new database infrastructure for an organization and then moved it from the legacy system to a new system. That is original in the sense that it did not exist before and you are responsible for creating it. And then the question is, can we prove significance? Now, that becomes a little bit more challenging and difficult. But if you are talking about a state agency, there will probably be publicly available information regarding the effort that was undertaken. If it's a private organization, it becomes a little bit more complex and challenging. So we have to look at a case-by-case basis and determine whether you will meet the standard. So, there is an approach, and, I think despite what the naysayers out there have to say, we've proven that it's successful. So that's kind of where my thought process is right now in terms of helping people. There is, I think, a lot of kind of uncertainty still because we don't know where the government is going with a lot of these cases, in particular whether the Biden bill that was proposed is going to go anywhere. Anybody that knows anything about the government processes knows that nobody really knows, right? I don't think Biden knows what the final bill is going to look like. I don't think anybody in Congress knows what the final bill is going to look like. I think analysts are looking at that DACA, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival, will probably get the priority, and also TPS, which is Temporary Protective Status, would also get the priority. And so we don't know what's going to happen with country quotas or what will happen with the employment-based side of things. If you think that you want to wait and see, look, that's your choice. But from what we have been doing is we're putting our pedal to the metal and trying to make sure that we are representing our clients' interest and improving their and their families' lives, especially when they have kids and those kids might age out. Then you have really no choice but to just go for success.
Yeah, this is a very good point, actually, because a lot of people are counting on this bill to bring EB2 to the same level as every country. It's not going to really happen exactly like that, and a lot of people are kind of, unfortunately, having some. It might happen, I'm not saying no, but it won't happen that straight, and neither will that blanket green card to everybody happen, because people will have to go through a process which will take almost 10 years for people who are unlawful here, 10 to sometimes more than that, and also they will have to meet a lot of requirements. As for people who are employment-based, EB2, it will probably go up definitely, but it won't go up that much like people are thinking is going to get current suddenly, because the only way they can do that is to recapture whatever is not used or just increase the quota, and that's going to require a lot of work from the government. Even the Democrats might not really be willing to do that, because what will happen is it will create a disbalance in terms of the ethnic community, and that's something that they're very fearful about always. So that's why the reason, let's be honest and I don't want to be politically correct and tell the truth. Right now there are many things happening in India, and many people are not very happy about it in the administration, and those things are going to affect the decision that Biden makes. So let's be real. So there is something here on EB1, and EB1 is going to be going forward still there, and EB1 will actually get current probably. So if you qualify under that, take advantage of it. As for people who are on EB2, national interest waiver is a very good option, because a lot of people who are on their green card waiting, they want to move from one job to another, and they don't want to have the company keep filing the labor certification, wait on it. A national interest waiver, you can carry it from one place to another, and there's no employer involved. Even if tomorrow you don't have a job, the dates become current, you can still file for your adjustment of status. So it is important that people think in those terms, because a lot of people are going to adopt the approach of wait and see, and many of them have missed their chances, and I know that because I've seen it. So let's talk a little bit about national interest waiver, Sharif, because that's very interesting.
One more thing on that. I mean, almost, all the time I hear people, somebody will reach out to me and say, oh, I spoke to you 2 years ago, and we talked about EB1A, and I just decided to wait and see because I heard that the Senate was going to pass a bill that was going to change the country quota, and that it got held up in Congress, and we were just 2 votes away, and all of this, and they wasted 2 years of their life. I mean, I don't know about you, but as a human being, 1 year of my life is very valuable to me. So just waiting and waiting and waiting, and even under the best case scenario, that was proposed, it was always that it would be a very kind of slow transition in terms of implementing any kind of country quota change. So it's not like it would happen overnight as well. But again, I think we are hopeful that there is some more fairness put into the system. But it is not really a partisan issue, so I wouldn't really bank on Democrats. One of the biggest proponents of ending country quota is Mike Lee, who's a very, very conservative senator from Utah. So I don't know that having Democrats there is going to somehow solve our problems. From my perspective as an attorney, what I'm trying to do is solve every of my clients' problems, because that's my job. So, if you want someone to look out for your interests, that's when you want to give us a call. I'm not worried about what the government's going to do and not do. I'm just worried about what your situation is, what is going to help you and what is going to help your family. That's all that matters to me. So, as far as the issues that are not in our control, if they work themselves out, fine. If they don't, then, we need to have other alternatives to help you, make your life better. And like you mentioned, another one of those alternatives is the national interest waiver, because particularly where we don't know what's going to happen with the economy, we don't know what's going to happen. Looks like there's going to be a lot of stimulus, but at some point that is going to die down. And if, God forbid, there are layoffs or there are uncertainty or instability in certain aspects, I mean, think about it's not just that people are working in technology or software. I mean, think about people who are working in the energy sector. There's been so much turbulence and chaos in the energy sector. And, if you have that uncertainty looming, right, that is where you want to definitely put yourself into a national interest waiver. Because when you have a national interest waiver, it will protect you when you have to change jobs or take another job, so that a subsequent employer will not need to file or refile your EB2. And for those of you who are born outside of India, where you're not necessarily worried about a country quota situation, a national interest waiver is the best way to self-petition for a green card. Many of our, listeners and clients from, whether it's West Africa or Bangladesh or different countries, Australia, have been taking advantage of that national interest waiver to, apply directly for that green card. Definitely even people from the UK. So I think that we have, really mastered that approach with the national interest waiver and making sure that you can absolutely, get benefit from it. Because if you have a master's degree or higher, that will put you into the system so that you can go ahead and file under what's called DANASAR, DHANASAR. Under the DANASAR analysis, you basically need to prove three things. Number one, that you work in an area that is of national importance and substantial merit. Second, that you are well positioned to advance the area of work that you're involved in. So if you compare this to the EB-1A, the EB-1A says that you must demonstrate that you have sustained a claim that is recognized in your field of endeavor, whereas the national interest waiver is saying you just need to advance your field of endeavor. So be well positioned to advance your field. So it's a much easier analysis to meet than the EB-1A, but you still have to make sure that you are diligent and thorough about the kind of evidence that you have that will enable you to meet the requirement. So the national interest waiver is there. And then the last requirement for a national interest waiver is a balance test. So they want to balance the interest of having you as the applicant or the beneficiary who, number one, works in an area of national importance, and number two, is well positioned to advance that area of endeavor, versus the U.S. interest in protecting its, American workforce. So those are the kind of things they're looking for. So that does take some, analysis and persuasive arguments that will, make sure that we meet the legal standard. So that's what we're doing when we think about a national interest waiver.
Exactly. So another thing that I wanted to tell people right now, and there was a caller earlier who said, hey, he's waiting, he wants to bring his parents. If he's still listening, that might be something we need to look into. I forgot to mention that to him. If we can get you an EB-1, we might be able to get you a green card earlier and get your citizenship, etc. And actually ask him, I think you were on the line when I was talking to him. I completely omitted to tell him that, so I apologize. So please give us a call, and we'll see if we can analyze the case based on what we call a national interest waiver or an EB-1. So having said that, Sharif, I think we have only 1 minute to go. Anything special, people, especially a lot of people want to do L1A. It's kind of almost we can use that as an investor visa. So people who need help, give us a call. So tell us, you have 1 minute to tell us about L1A, Sharif.
Sure. So, the idea of the L1A is that you are already operating a business outside of the U.S. and that you have worked at least 1 year outside of the U.S. in that process, and you are now opening a new office in the U.S. So that's one way that you could use the L1A to enter the United States. The other is for a situation where you are already set up as an organization or working for an organization that is in the U.S. and also has a subsidiary or affiliate organization outside of the United States. And that company is, basically moving you as a manager or executive into the United States. So this is, again, a way for you or maybe somebody you know who is outside of the U.S. working for the company to move his or her family to the U.S. So that is, a very powerful tool. And again, I think that during the Trump administration, there was something like 51% denials in the L1A space because that was one of their targets. But we're seeing that that's being loosened up. So if you were kind of waiting in the wings regarding the L1A, now is definitely the time up and, reassessing and getting your documents ready to file them.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sharif. Thank you, Ira. Anything we've told you today is our opinion. You should not act or refrain to act solely on the information provided. You should contact an attorney if you have any questions. 510-742-588.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney Sharif. Thank you, Attorney Sharpirali, for being here with us. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Remember, you can log on to their website, piralilaw.com. That's piralilaw.com. And the number to call is 510-742-5887. Attorney Sharpirali joins us every Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. You stay tuned to Radio Zindagi. Jiye jao.